Hello? Is anybody there? Melinda?
Yes, Karen.
Could we go back to the backstage so I can run one test run first since I have 15 minutes?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning, Melinda.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit 2026, Karen.
I'm sorry?
Welcome to the Global Virtual Summit.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Before going to your session, I would like to introduce you to our audience. Karen Berry is a dynamic speaker, Ayurvedic wellness expert, and founder of a holistic practice dedicated to helping individuals and organizations achieve greater balance, purpose, and well being. Through her engaging presentations and practical insights, she empowers leaders and teams to enhance performance by reconnecting with their inner wisdom. Her work inspires lasting personal growth, authentic leadership, and healthier, more resilient communities. That was a great and fantastic bio, Karen, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Before we get started, would you join me in a warm welcome to Ideas Global Conferences and a thank you for all of your wonderful work that you've done for us and for all the remarkable from yesterday. Now I'd like to ask you a question. Is there something within you, something you know to be true, but for whatever reason you haven't acted on it? Maybe it's a decision you've been putting off or a conversation that you've been avoiding, or perhaps it's an idea that keeps tapping you on the shoulder. But whatever you've come up with, it's uniquely yours. And hold it close for the next half an hour or maybe the next couple of days. Now, today, whether you're joining us from your home or your office or somewhere in between, I know that this audience is filled with leaders and scientists, innovators and healers, and people who have spent a great deal of time acquiring new information, testing their ideas and learning from one another and solving problems. Yet I think that most of us would agree that the most important decisions we make rarely come from external expertise alone, but rather from the listening to the part of ourselves that already knows. This is what I'd like to explore with you this morning. Learning to listen to the wisdom that we already carry within. I believe the power of inner clarity transforms the way you lead and live. Inner clarity is not a skill that you learn, nor create, nor force. It doesn't necessarily show up on demand, but yet it is something that we're all looking for. Admittedly, sometimes in our frustration, we can just shake our heads and even want to scream and shout because we just want clarity, but rather clarity is something that we access. It's deep within. It's inherently part of who we are. And many of us have beautiful practices already in place that allow us to access that wisdom through prayer and meditation, going inward, being still. Today, I invite you to explore inner clarity and specifically the access to that clarity from a perspective perhaps that is new for you, one that is without challenge and without strategy, and yet one that reaches beyond silence, but definitely touches the inner intelligence. It is a practice hidden in plain sight, one that many of us engage in every single day without recognizing its extraordinary potential. So, what is this practice? Well, there are three key components. Number one, be alone. Number two, talk to yourself as in out loud. And number three, do it through movement. Today, I will share with you how to unlock the most powerful leadership tool you already possess: the ability to access clear, grounded knowing through wisdom and conversation with yourself out loud. Walk Your Wisdom is a method of access that I've been using in my personal and professional life for over 35 years. Walk Your Wisdom is a moving conversation with yourself. When you take your thoughts out loud and into motion, you open up new channels to access that inner voice. Walk Your Wisdom is a proven method of accessing self-trust, which brings power and wisdom and clarity into every aspect of your life. Nikola Tesla once said, "Be alone. That is the secret of invention." Be alone. That is when ideas are born. He also stated, most persons are so absorbed in the contemplation of the outside world that they are wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. Wholly oblivious to what is passing on within themselves. And so my question for you is, what is within you that is yet to blossom? What perhaps are you overriding that you already know to be true? Well, this is where my story begins. I was 28 years old, taking a night class at the local university. And at the end of the lecture, I stood up and my knees were swollen, both of them. It was odd. They were weirdly thick. But I thought, you know what? This will be gone in the morning. Well, morning came and morning went. And many mornings came and went. And since I was experiencing more discomfort and my knees were starting to get warm and uncomfortable, I decided, you know what, it's time for that dreaded rheumatology appointment. So when I walk in, the nurse says to me, "Have a seat over here." And I look at that chair, and it looks like a high chair for adults, this oversized, extra tall chair. And something within me did not want to sit in that chair. It was as if it was a foreboding nod to something that I didn't want in my life. So the doctor walks in. Well, before I go there, do any of you remember Lily Tomlin? She was an actress from many years ago, and she created this character that she named Edith Ann. And Edith Ann was this 5-year-old girl who would share her observations about life. Well, she was sitting in this oversized chair, and her feet were barely touching the edge of the seat, but she was very funny. Well, all humor aside, I felt like Edith Ann, and it was not funny. My feet didn't even touch the floor. They were dangling. So the doctor walks in and he says, "Karen, you've tested positive for 2 of the 3 factors for rheumatoid arthritis." He kept talking, and I was withdrawing. Matter of fact, I was spinning. I knew enough about this disease to picture painful, swollen joints and limited mobility. When I tuned back in, the last thing I heard the doctor say was, Well, let's just wait and see. There's a few more tests we need to monitor. Let's just wait and see. He was kind. He was empathetic. But I don't know, by the time I got down in my car, it's like there was, and I don't know where this came from, but there was something within me, something that just started to well up. And it was just like my fists internally went in up. And I just thought, wait and see. Are you kidding? I'm not about to wait and see if this disease fully develops. So I did what many of us do when life knocks us sideways. I read, I researched, I looked for information. I went to see all the natural health practitioners that I could find in my area, and I saw massage therapists and chiropractors and craniosacral therapists and acupuncturists. And let me tell you, I brought home nuggets from every single one of them, and I'm so grateful for their care. But the truth is, there is no clarity. Until one day, I went for a walk. Nothing dramatic. A walk I had taken hundreds of times. But on this particular day, I started thinking about everything that was going on. And I'm months into this by now. And I found myself talking out loud. Now, this was back in the 90s. And so if you were walking down the sidewalk, talking to yourself out loud, you'd get some strange looks. Your heads would turn. But somewhere in that experience, I noticed something about myself that I hadn't given any space to. There was a part of me that already knew. I knew my body had the capacity to heal. I knew my body wanted to heal. I knew that my cells, who thinks about their cells? Were these powerful little machines, these powerful epicenters of intelligence. And I thought to myself, if I could just change the trajectory, or if I could just provide the right information, maybe I could change the trajectory of where I was headed. Maybe all those answers that I was chasing weren't out there, but already within, waiting to be heard. So I started talking to myself. My knees are great. My knees are healthy. My knees are whole. Let me tell you, my knees were not great. They were not healthy. They were not whole. But I said it anyways. And I said it out loud. And the more I said it with emotion and with conviction. And it started out as anger and frustration. And truthfully, it was just fear more than anything. But that anger drove it and carried it. And somehow, once again, within me, there was just this inner sense that I knew I had the power, or the potential anyways, to change it. And that kept me going. This was the hill I would walk. I'm walking on the sidewalk, walking and talking out loud, of course. And something occurs to me. On my left is this wide open road. It was completely clear, free of obstruction, no interference. And it occurred to me, and I began to imagine this road as the communication highway from my brain to my knees. And so my little mantra, my knees are great, my knees are healthy, my knees are whole, is walking up and down that pathway, traveling that pathway where there was no interference, no interception. In other words, nothing to get in my way, nothing to stop the messages from going where I wanted them to go. So brain, talk to my cells. The knees are great. The knees are healthy. The knees are whole, and say it with enthusiasm and joy, because why not? And knees, do you hear that? Respond accordingly. Without really knowing what I was doing, I was directing my cells. I was making music with messaging and imaging and communication. Now, I'm not a neuroscientist, and I wasn't studying cellular biology. I was simply following an instinct within. We all have instincts within. But in this particular moment, I realized I had the power, the capacity, or the knowledge to be able to create an internal dialogue, to deliver an outcome of choice, to deliver an outcome that I desired rather than an outcome that I feared. Did you know we could do this? Have you ever thought about this? Specifically about how our cells are smart and they're intelligent. There's trillions of them, and they're managing trillions of bits of information at any given moment, and they're talking to each other all the time. And they're talking to us all the time too. And they communicate through symptoms and signs and messaging and inflammation and redness and pain. Long before disease sets in, our body is knocking on the door, trying to get our attention. Our cells are going, hey, 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 those choices you're making, they're not serving us down here. That was the beginning of Walk Your Wisdom. You don't go out and look for wisdom. You discover wisdom within. And again, it's the access. It's access to your inner voice. It's access to your soul, to your truth. It's access to God. It's access to the source of all life. It's already there. It's within us, waiting to connect, waiting to be heard. So I tell my friends, go out and walk. Put your earbuds in, hit record on your phone, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But talk to yourself out loud. Ask yourself any question, any topic. And if you aren't sure where to go, maybe ask yourself, what potentially am I avoiding? Or if you're angry and frustrated and you feel those internal fists coming up again, perhaps ask yourself, what choices am I making that no longer serve me? This is a really important question, as well as what messages am I sending that no longer serve me? We can be imprisoned in our own minds, beating ourselves up. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy. And then as the months went by, something else happened. I started to smile internally. Not because my knees were better and the pain was gone. Oh no, they were still inflamed and they were red and they were hot. Matter of fact, they felt like little inflamed heaters. And now I understood why rheumatology offices had those extra tall, high chairs, because it's a lot easier to get in and out of those chairs when your knees hurt. Because there was this inner joy of knowing, of connecting. It felt good. It felt grounding. So where did this come from? This idea to walk and talk and to process my thoughts out loud as a method of accessing my inner voice and my inner clarity. It'd be easy to say, I don't know. But the truth is, it came from me. It came from the intelligence within me. I was listening. I was talking. I was talking and listening and creating and planning and deciding and directing and trusting. I was having the most important conversation of my life. And then one day, something extraordinary happened. The inflammation was gone, not reduced just a little bit, but gone, as if the event was just over, as if it was just out of the blue. But no, I believe it was not random. I walked that hill for 2.5 years. I visualized that communication highway free of obstruction for 2.5 years. I intentionally directed my thoughts toward an outcome of my choice, an outcome that I desired. rather than an outcome that I feared. And you know what? It never came back. Now, there's been a little collateral damage here and there that I still deal with. But rheumatoid? No. It never came back. My doctor just shook his head and he said, Karen, keep doing what you're doing. This is available to all of us. This is the most powerful leadership tool you already possess. And it's not just for self-healing. You can use it for anything. I used Walk Your Wisdom to develop business ideas, to make a choice in how to name my Ayurvedic practice. I talked through the different words that I was considering and thought, how is this word going to feel to somebody that's approaching, potentially working with me? You know, what sense does that provide? And I used Walk Your Wisdom to prepare for presentations at work. And I used it to work through difficult conversations and hurts that still linger. And to remember loved ones that are no longer with us. I wrote my dad's eulogy. Oh, it just flowed out of me. Normally, this would have been the kind of thing that I really would have struggled with, choosing the right word, the right words. But I just started talking about how great my dad was. And besides, it was all recorded. So then I could just hit print, make a few adjustments, and it was ready to go. My hairstylist called me the other day and he said, Karen, I used Walk My Wisdom to create my packing list. He was going on a trip of a lifetime and he used Walk Your Wisdom to talk his list out. And then he could just hit print. You can use this for anything, but the real gems, why am I here? Who am I? What's my purpose? What I love most of this whole thing is that it's not just my experience. There's research and plenty of research to show that walking and talking and movement and talking out loud helps bring clarity to every aspect of your life and adds creativity and purpose and insight. So let's take a look at that research. Psychological science strongly supports that being alone is crucial for accessing your inner voice and understanding your own thoughts. That being alone provides uninterrupted mental space, which removes the pressure to conform. That being alone helps you tap into your authentic goals, intuition, and creativity. Point number 1, check. Be alone. And what does the science say about talking out loud to yourself? Research indicates that verbalizing your thoughts turns formless, chaotic feelings into a narrative, which gives them structure. When you say an idea out loud, your brain processes it through both speaking and hearing, reducing cognitive overload. When you verbalize your thoughts out loud, you solve complex problems up to 32% faster. Point number 2, check. Talk to yourself out loud. And what does the science say about combining it all together with movement? Stanford University found that a person's creative output increases by an average of 60% while walking and talking to oneself. Walking and talking out loud generates more unique, high quality, and novel ideas as compared to when one is sitting. Research demonstrates that by combining physical movement with speaking out loud triggers neuroimmunological responses. In other words, lowering stress hormones, reducing inflammation, accelerating mental and physical recovery. Studies show that walking and talking out loud significantly reduces overall psychological distress, anxiety, and tension. And creative juices, oh baby, the creative juices continued to flow even when a person sat back down after their walk. Point number 3, check. Confirmed, backed by science, available to all. And if limited mobility makes walking difficult, don't let that stop you. Just sit in your favorite chair and hit record and start talking. And of course, it's better if you're in your room by yourself, or even if you're in your house by yourself. I am walking a lot through the forest and having tremendous conversations with myself, said Friedrich Nietzsche. I would walk every day composing thoughts that I would later jot down on paper. Well, the good news for us is today's technology. Apple's operating system has a built-in app called Voice Memos. You'll find it in utilities. The Samsung recorder, you'll find in the Samsung folder. And the Pixel recorder, you'll find in the app drawer. So I put in my earbuds, I pull up my phone, I pull up Voice Memos, which has a big fat red button. It's not a complicated app. You open it up and you just hit record, and you can title it and date it later if you wanted to. But some days I have nothing to say, and that's okay. Matter of fact, these recordings do take up space in your phone. And so you'll want to make sure to delete them when you're done with them. But most days, I feel so joyful when I get back. I think it's just the access to myself. It just feels so good. And it sure beats consuming our thoughts over and over and over that just creates stress and make us feel stuck. Did you know that 90 to 95% of our thoughts are the same thoughts that we had yesterday and the day before? Research shows us that these thoughts become patterns that just run in autopilot in the background. Walk Your Wisdom disrupts these autopilot messaging. They're really good for our mental health. And besides, it just makes it easier to connect with family and friends and strangers alike. After all, we're on this journey together to live and to grow and to love exquisitely. So Walk Your Wisdom is a practice. And it takes some time getting comfortable with. I mean, some people will take to it right away, but others will feel like, oh, this feels a little weird to walk and talk out loud to myself. But if you have earbuds in, oh gosh, nobody's even paying attention to yourself. And not only is it a practice, but it's also a tool that can disrupt those autopilot thoughts, right? But it's a tool to build trust within yourself by listening to yourself, after talking with yourself, while walking with yourself. So I want to ask you the same question. What is within you that is yet to emerge, to dance, to sing, and to shine? What do you want to make sure does not pass you by? My challenge to you is simple. Try it. See where it takes you. See where you take it. And now, before I share my final thought, could I ask a favor? Would you pull out your cell phones, and not to record, but to pull out your cell phones and access this QR code? This will take you to a survey, and I promise you it'll take less than a minute. But the comments, especially the comments that you make, will help me know if this is something that resonates with you or is inspiring or encouraging, or if you feel like you'll actually bring this practice into your life. And as a small thank you, I've created in a document entitled The Basics of Ayurveda. Ayurveda is ancient medicine from India, and I am a practitioner of this ancient medicine. So walk your wisdom, leaders, scientists, innovators, and healers. Walk your wisdom, carry it, know it, believe it, and own it. It's yours. So here's my contact information. Here's the QR code once again. And now I believe we may have a minute or two to answer a few questions, if there are any questions in the chat.
Yes, Karen, we have a few questions from our audience.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I would like to ask one of them.
Okay.
How do you distinguish between institution and fear when making important decisions?
Institution and feel. Oh, what a great question.
Yeah.
Oh, without question, the best decisions come internally, instinctively, within. And certainly institutionally speaking, there are always decisions that need to be made for work and for, decision making as leaders and scientists. And so we understand which ones are institutional, but in terms of really for personal guidance, personal growth, addressing the doubts and the fears within, this is a practice that is really beautiful for addressing that kind of decision.
Yeah, we have a few more questions from our audience. I directly posted to email and you can answer there.
I'm sorry, would you say that again?
Yeah, we have a few more questions from our audience. We will directly post it to your email.
Oh, wonderful.
You can answer there.
Perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much. So appreciate it.
Yeah, please stay on the back.